You're listening to the AFTERBUZZ TV network, now the largest new media platform on the web, and your #1 source for after-show entertainment.
Very good, Gene Johnson.
The AFTERBUZZ Studios in Los Angeles, California. Presented by Maria Menounos and streaming live thanks to Akamai Technologies. This is AFTERBUZZ TV's The Americans After Show. We'll break down tonight's episode and get you all the latest news and gossip. And now, another post-game wrap-up show for your favorite TV show. It's AFTERBUZZ TV's The Americans After Show.
Yes, that creepy music means that The Americans is back.
Is this the same song they had last season?
I don't know. It's kind of this fun.
I don't think it is.
Spy.
It's definitely intense music, but
Okay, it's something. It feels the same theme.
it's a little more Russian, is what it sounds like.
Yes, maybe.
Yeah.
We'll find out. We don't know this information, even though we're doing. Welcome back to the Americans AfterBuzz After Show, Season 2. We're back. We're missing a couple folks, but we're back for now. I'm Joe Braswell. I'm here with the lovely Jenifer Golden.
Hello, everybody. I'm back.
We are not here with the lovely Joe Sanfilippo, who will be here next week. And we're here. We're back. We're gonna do our thing. We're not here by the lovely Lauren Leonelli either.
No, she's taking a little bit of a break. She's going to be in New York for a couple months.
Oh.
We will miss her.
We will miss her. She will be missed.
I will be visiting her soon, actually.
She's in an op. She's in a long extended secret op.
Totally. She's our spy. We
The
sent her
spy
to
that
New
she
York
is.
to see if there's like competing after shows.
That's right. Hopefully she come back with good intel. So we're back. We have with Joe Sanfilippo, and we'll be back. We'll be doing recapping this show as we did last season. And we're very excited to do so because the show is awesome. It didn't get any less awesome in the time that we had off.
I forgot how awesome it was. I mean, I knew, but I haven't, watched it since it ended. And now tonight, just like
So you didn't do a binge watch? You didn't do like a binge watch catch up?
No, and I'm kind of glad because it was super special for me tonight. I was like, oh, you're so amazing, show.
Yes, yeah. I did the same thing where I did watch it a while back, but I did the thing where between True Detective and all these other shows we're watching and prepping for, it kind of snuck up on me. I'm like, oh yeah, The Americans.
Yeah.
Then watch, I'm like, oh yeah, The Americans. This show's freaking
Badass.
awesome. So let's kind of get it reacquainted with what's going on. I mean, obviously
All
the show, we know the show is about, Russian spies who have infiltrated, who are here in America posing as an American family, a married couple with children, and it is sort of this cat and mouse game between the KGB and the FBI. Mm-hmm. Conveniently, one of the FBI's agents who was investigating them happens to live next door.
Right.
That is Stan. Played by the awesome Noemrick. And our main characters, we know that our main characters are Philip and Elizabeth, and they have 2 children, and they're doing a bunch of spy shit.
Yeah, they are.
When we last saw them, things kind of went a little bad across the board, and I think we're led to believe, we don't really get a full explanation as to what happened, but we're led to believe that we're led to believe that Elizabeth was sent away to either recoup or hide out or wait till the heat dies down.
Who was she staying with? That's what I want to know.
I don't know.
Because it seemed like she had gone there for the first time because the woman was like, you can come here anytime.
Right.
And she was sort of like,
I didn't recognize her from last season, so maybe
No.
we can only assume that it's another KGB person, or
Right.
it's some sort of safe house, I imagine.
Yeah.
I could be getting this all wrong, and I'm sure the internet will totally rake me over the coals for that. But we just watched the show. We just watched it, so we came right in here.
Yeah.
And we're doing it. But I don't know who that woman was, but I'm assuming it's some sort of safe house. We also know that Elizabeth is presumed dead. Well, I mean the spy version, the woman who the FBI is after,
Right.
is presumed dead.
Yes.
And the other person is presumed exfiltrated back to Russia. This is information that we found out that Stan has, that he got from
Nina.
From Nina,
Who-
which is his informant.
Right. And we see later in the episode that she's definitely playing him.
So just again to sort of set this table
Yeah.
because we have a lot going on here. So you have Philip and Elizabeth who are the couple
Yes.
who are having problems, but who are now seem to be sort of reconciled within their own relationship.
Right.
With their children.
Mm-hmm.
They live next door to Stan, who's the FBI agent investigating them.
Yes.
It just so happens Stan happens to be having an affair of his own.
Yes.
He has a mistress.
With Nina.
His mistress also works for the KGB, who initially last year was really looking to Stan to sort of save her.
Right, and so that she...
So she can come to America and be free. Actually,
Right.
Stan kind of blackmailed her initially
Yeah.
with some stuff. But now she's taken the power position and decided she's going to work Stan. So Stan thinks
Stan is like up Schitt's Creek.
Oh, he's in trouble. Well, he thinks he's working her.
Right.
But she's working him.
And like the neighbors, like Philip and Elizabeth are his friends, but really
Right.
they're the ones he's chasing. And it's like a
Yes.
whole mess for Stan, really.
It's a
I
whole
think.
mess. And this is the best of, I mean, as I explain this, it sounds super complicated, and it is, but man, what a great job they did sort of like laying out this world for us last season.
Yes.
And then to where we're back in it, and I'm like, oh my God, that's right. Oh, and let's not forget.
It's so smart, all of it. It's just genius.
Let's not forget.
Yes.
There's one more piece of this puzzle. Well, there's a lot of pieces, but there's
Right.
one more significant piece of this puzzle. Philip went off and got married last season.
He did, and it's interesting. I mean, I guess, obviously we'll dive into this, but they barely showed that. Like,
Well-
we always think about the show, and we're like, how does that logistically work?
Right.
And where are the people, as people would normally question things, say like, well, where are you sleeping all the other nights that you're not here? Or like, I remember that they had a setup, or it was supposed to be a secret wedding, so
Right.
that's how he set that up. But like, now we finally see the kids starting to question them.
Well, I can only imagine that, in terms of the whole Martha Philip wedding, marriage. I can imagine that we'll figure out how that other secret life is playing out.
Right.
But even Elizabeth said at the end of the episode, you're supposed to be with Martha tonight.
Right.
So Philip is working Martha for information on the FBI. Nina's working with no information.
How do they
on the
remember?
FBI. Well,
They're
it seems to
spies,
me
so.
the KGB's kind of winning in this because they've got Nina working Stan,
Yep.
and then we've got Philip working Martha. So the FBI is they're not getting any information at this point.
No, they're only giving information.
Right, they're only giving information. So the tables have turned. Whereas
They're
last
losing
season,
this round.
Last season they were actually getting information because they
Right.
had Nina pumping information, and so it's an interesting thing. So what we see this episode is clearly the show in general. What we love about the show so much is it is a 80s set in the 80s Cold War, and it's a good old-fashioned spy thriller, spy yarn. It does all the good spy stuff, the old kind of like Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy, dead drops and weird code written, all that
Right.
stuff too that you like. But it also gives you the action too. It gives you the action and silencers and guns. So it gives you all that spy shit that we love. But simultaneously on the other side, it's a sort of a family marriage relationship drama.
Right. And
So-
you want both elements to win.
Right.
Almost. But then at the same time they're kind of the villain.
Yes. Well, they're
But
kind
they're
of the villain.
not.
They're Russian spies.
Right.
The ultimate anti-hero.
Right. And it's just such a crazy, dynamic
Crazy setup.
all around, and we love it.
We love it. So we have the setup. So yeah, but I think the show itself actually works as a spy thriller, and it works as last season's. It works brilliantly as a spy thriller, and it works brilliantly as a relationship marriage drama as well.
Right.
And some other Andy Greenwald's another guy from Grantland said the same thing. He's big high on the show, and he said the very same thing, and I agree with him. So episode 2 was directed by the famed Tommy Shalami, who directed. I know I can't even say it. Tommy Shalami. Who is best known for The West Wing and all the cool stuff he did in The West Wing, but did a bunch of other stuff, including some stuff Larry did. He did, I think he did I'm now speculating. I think he did the Borat movie. I feel like he did the Borat.
Oh, interesting.
Which is separate from that. But,
Right.
But he's great. He's a really, really, really great director. So it was great because I noticed that because when we opened, that cool shot that we opened with after the credits was very cinematic. When you see the sort of all of suburban Washington, all of suburban, they're in Washington, right?
They're DC.
They're
They are, right? Yeah.
I think they are. All suburban DC, all the houses and that sort of that cool shot, very cinematic. So we open with Philip on an op. We love the wigs, we love the ops. We open with Philip on an op, and it seems that he is posing as an American, trying to ingratiate himself with some Afghanis
Right.
at the time. And remember, at the time, the Afghanis were our allies and were the Russians' enemies
Right.
back then. And then, so I think that's what was that, yes. And so Philip was posing as an American
Yes.
and having a conversation with the Afghanis and saying how much, and they were telling how much they want to kill Russians.
And they gave him that knife that was used to kill a Russian spy.
Yes, he killed his first.
A Russian soldier.
And Philip did not like that.
No,
What happened then?
he then, I mean, I was not ready for all that jelly, but like there was a lot of gunshots and
Right.
blood. And like, I feel like we had normally seen him in situations where we agreed with what he was doing because it didn't seem so violent and
Right.
like unjust.
Right,
It was more like Dexterian
right.
and he was killing the bad guys or whatever it was. But it just felt so barbarian in this moment. And I would say that, anybody playing God is probably barbaric in some way. But
Right.
it just seemed so awful that I did not like Philip. I was not supporting him in this moment, even with how we feel about,
Well, that
current situations in, 2014. But,
yeah.
and then the fact that I was really upset by him saying, you should give this message to your people, but then kill them so they could clearly not give the message.
Well, I think he killed him because he got,
He was all fired up.
like he said, it went bad.
Right. It was
Because
not what was supposed to happen.
the one guy he was meant to kill, the other guy he meant to wound in the leg.
Right.
But then he, that whole
He attacked him, so then he killed him.
right. But he also said there's that moment. He's like, you don't know who you're messing with.
Right.
You don't know. And Philip's just like, bloop.
Oh yeah, and he was like, there are Russian spies all around you, or
Right.
whatever. But then the worst part was that he was leaving the scene of the crime, looked at the guy in the kitchen,
Right.
and said, it's okay, and then shot him.
Yeah.
Oh,
so there's a bit-
heartbreaking.
This is the other thing, we talk about all the time about, anti-heroes in television and sort of like, this is a show that really takes the whole anti-hero thing to the next level because we are rooting for Russian spies.
Right.
Like that's what we're doing. And these are our main protagonists here, the Russian spies. Or maybe we're rooting for Stan. I don't know. But whatever's happening, the show is centered around
It's hard
these
to root
Russian
for
spies.
Stan too because Stan is cheating on his wife. So it's like,
Right.
who do you root for? The kids at this point? Nina? I don't
Right.
know anymore.
Well, another thing we talked about last season is I'm just doing a lot of rehashing, but from last season. But like how there's something about just the ability to tell a story. Like what they're doing here is they built a world that all the characters are laid out. They're telling a story, and maybe it's not for us to sort of say who's the good guy, who's the bad guy, or who's this or who's that. We're just watching a story. We're just flipping the pages.
Right.
And so I don't know. But it's very clear that we do have an affinity towards, Philip and Elizabeth and
Right.
what they're doing. So we
It
like
very much
Phil.
feels like a game of chess.
Yes. But we love Philip. So when we see Philip do bad stuff, that
Yeah.
sucks.
I'm like, no,
Yeah.
Philip, no. Just
Right.
do your job. Don't kill people. But I guess that's part of the
That's his
territory.
job. He's a spy.
Isn't there just like intel spies? Like,
Sure.
aren't you just
That's the kind of spy Philip and Elizabeth are.
clearly?
They're the kind of spies who take out Afghanis in a diner somewhere. So that happened. So we see that going on. That was his op. That he came home to the kids.
Did that just happen to set it up to show that he has been doing these things without her? And like, what? I don't realize the connection between the rest of the episode.
I think
and
that we don't know the connection to the episode. I think that this is something that's going to definitely come back to haunt
Right.
them down the road. I mean, this is something that
Right.
is remember those Afghanis he killed? And what's on episode 3, 4, 5, 6?
Yeah.
I'm sure will be some repercussions. Maybe the Afghanis are the people who killed the family.
Right. Interesting.
Maybe
oh,
not, or
so
maybe not.
sad.
So I don't know. So there's
This
this
episode had so much going on in it.
But anyway, so we're going back. So we go back to the family and we see that everything seems to be okay. Elizabeth and Philip are pretty, reconciling, but kind of shaky. The kids are back. Elizabeth returns home. There's a birthday party, which
Henry's
is very
birthday,
sweet. Henry's
very
birthday, which is
sweet.
very sweet.
And of course, Stan is there, and it's a bummer because his wife didn't want to go on the vacation that he had planned for them.
Sure.
And I mean, Philip and Elizabeth really play that travel agent role well.
Yeah,
They're like, we
they
got
love it.
you a refund.
Oh, we should talk about that moment when she left the cabin and she almost hit the deer.
Yeah, because I said to you, I'm like, what is the significance of this?
I think well, so my thought was that it's a family in danger. Like how
Right.
easy this I almost killed that family. It's like these, this is a family that's in danger.
And in that moment, I was like, "Whoa, deep, Joe, deep."
Maybe so it's just sort of foreshadowing that this is going to be about.
And it definitely was.
And it
This whole
definitely
episode
was. I think this whole season is going to really be about sort of testing the limits of
Right.
what does it mean. Like it's one thing like we're spies and we our cover stories are marriage, and it's always been about the marriage and marriage and marriage. But guess what? Your kids grow up. And when
Right.
your kids grow up, and you can't just go around and doing spy shit with teenage kids in the house. It's easy to do when they're babies.
Right. 'Cause they don't know what's
They don't
going
know
on.
what's going on. But when you have a bunch of crazy inquisitive teenagers, Snoopy teenagers, as we see.
Yeah.
Which we left on that last season. The daughter.
Henry and
Anyway, the terrible. She is
snooping
around as where she was last season. We knew that she got to where we knew she was making some discoveries last season.
Right.
She's continuing her snooping ways, going through her mother's, looking to find something. She's yet to find anything, but she knows something's wrong or something's off. And this answers a question that we asked last season a lot of the times, like, how come these kids don't know? These parents are gone all the time.
Right.
What are these kids doing? They just don't come out of their room. They don't ever come out of their room. They don't ever open a door.
Well, and that's interesting because they touched on that tonight with they had a babysitter come over.
Yeah.
So they called that out. That was the first time we've seen that.
Right.
And then also they brought up the door rule again because I
Yeah.
remember they touched on that last season and that they're not supposed to open closed doors.
Right. I think this feels like the creator sort of addressing these notes. That,
Right.
Because everyone's
You're
like,
clearly watching us,
Yeah.
Americans,
We're
writers,
addressing
and
our notes.
producers,
No,
because essentially the parents could be home if the door is closed because you're not supposed to go behind it, so you really don't know the difference.
Right.
They could or they couldn't.
Absolutely. So I think that that she so daughter goes in, does her snooping around. I'm gonna cut away from the op, which that happened, which was really cool. But she goes down the hall to break the rule, and
my
what
heart.
does she see?
Oh God, I'm still horrified. As
Gross.
a child walking into your parents' room.
Have you ever watched it with your parents?
No, that's terrible. This whole thing upsets me more
Yeah.
probably than the murder.
Really?
I think so.
Was it more upsetting to see that happen than it was to see
Well-
Philip take out those people?
Yeah, and it was just that. FX really pushes the boundaries, but
Yeah,
the
they
fact
do.
that the daughter walked in to see what she saw, and it wasn't just sex, obviously.
No, it was a certain number
Right.
that
And
starts in a 6 and ends in a 9.
right, and the fact that that's the choice they made as the show,
Right.
they're like, not only is she gonna walk in and see
Sure.
them, and you and I were predicting while we were watching, we're like, oh, they're so gonna
They're
be there.
so home, yeah.
And
They're
I
so
knew there
home.
was gonna be sex going on. I knew it. The sex.
There was some stuff. So yeah, so that adds a whole layer, but then that also adds this layer of we're still raising kids, But I want to back up a little bit because they had the moment where, they talked about the babysitter and Philip and Elizabeth had that. You had that moment they kind of gave each other the look, and we were led to believe something's gonna happen, and so it cuts to sex noises and things happening,
Right.
but it's not that. It's Elizabeth and some random dude.
Yep.
And some random chick in a threesome, and that's a hell of an op. And then so both of their husbands, we see their husbands have to go and break that up.
Right.
And everyone's straight face is just part of the job. I don't know. The killing people part. That's tough. But walking in on your wife
Yeah, it's
and
pretty
her pal
crazy.
as a part of hey, this is just what we do for a living.
Spies are the best actors ever.
Well, it's one thing to have the whole sort of James Bond, I'm going to sleep with someone to get some information. And we saw all of last season. Part of their job is to sleep with other people
Right.
to get intel. But this was kind of a new level. This was a
three-way visible thing.
with the husbands barging in and making the wives go away while they talk to this guy naked and then get the information from him.
Right.
Which was a brilliantly done app, by the way. Op. That
Yes, it was.
brilliant,
Well done.
Well done.
Well played, KGB.
But interesting watch. Carrie Russell did say, what did she say?
On the Today Show
Yes.
this morning that there was going to be a lot of sex in tonight's episode.
Right.
That it's going to get even steamier.
Well, we had some,
but a lot of that.
We had some steamy moments. So, Paige, I'm sorry. There is a
Paige.
device in the world that has information. It's called the internet.
Amazing that you found that
I
device,
did that right
especially
now.
since we're in 1984.
Yes.
Well, I mean, that's what we were talking about while watching this. It's like, where are their phones? Like,
Yeah.
how do you contact anybody?
know.
Where does the information
I
come
know.
from?
You're like, are they gonna put cameras in the house? I'm like, no, it's 19. It's the
Yeah, because they were saying, like, I wonder how often they look for us, like,
Right.
about the children, because clearly this wasn't the first time that she's gone looking for them and opened a locked or a closed door.
Right.
And I was like, oh, yeah. What are they going to install cameras? Thinking that's what spies do. They spy
Right.
on their own houses. You're like, it's 1984.
Right.
They don't have that technology. But,
which is really
whoops, forgot.
which is the fun part of the show, to see them do all this cool
Yeah.
spy shit and have to do it in the, without all of our technology that we have today. So
Still baffling that they could have done anything without it.
So after that cool op they ran with the threesome and the dude and the thing, they all went out to talk and they went out to chat, and they're having a beer and chatting about what? Their kids.
Right.
And this is this weird sort of like mirror image of, it's like the bizarro Philip and Elizabeth, right?
Yeah.
It's the same, like they've been there a little longer, they're on the other side of town, they've also got 2 kids, they're running an operation too, they're everywhere, and so there's this weird moment of like, oh, how are your kids? How are your kids? How
Right.
are
They were like real people, and like,
right.
it was so weird to see that dynamic.
It's weird to see the dynamic, because if this is kind of what we see, like at the end of the day, the kids are part of the cover. The marriage is a cover.
Right.
Only the only the mission is what matters. So when they go and when they're in couple mode, and they're like, oh, we should all go to the carnival together.
Yeah.
Sounds good. Let's do that. So they do that, and then dude's like, oh yeah, by the way, we have an op to do.
Wait, but like we were talking about that at the same
Right.
moment where I was like, huh? Where did this, what's going on? And you're like, well, he just said this came up. I'm like, how did it come up?
Right.
Where was the cell phone or the text message or the email that told him that? How did
Well,
things just come up in
I don't know,
1984?
they send messages. They have the things, and there's a dead drop. I don't know. I don't know how the spy game worked back
No,
in the 80s.
so confusing.
But I do know that he gave them the brush move,
Yeah, I saw that.
the brush signal, the pat, the Jay-Z dirt off the shoulder move.
Right. So Philip had to go talk to Emmett.
Yes, and so he rolls over there, and this is the whole thing. Like you see the mirror image. They're all about business. I mean, if kids got to be involved, they got to be involved. If we got to take somebody out, we'll figure out what to do with the kids. The kids are just part of our cover. Whereas Philip and Elizabeth were like, we don't use our kids. What do you mean? The kids
Right.
aren't supposed to be involved. And he's like, dude, come on, we use our kids all the time. And essentially what he's saying, like, what's
Yeah.
the big deal? It's a kid, So they do the op, and it presumably goes okay. It seems to go
Yes.
okay.
It was super eerie.
Right.
Everything about it seemed ominous.
Yeah, it was very ominous. And you
Like
thought it was a setup.
yeah, I thought that the other couple was setting them up.
Right. But we don't know if they were or weren't. But what we do know
Right.
is, like, when Philip goes to get, goes up to the hotel, they're dead. Not only are they dead,
Oh my God,
but
their
the daughter's
daughter,
dead.
and they're like shot in the head and falling on top of each other,
Right.
and it's just such a gruesome sight.
It is. And it's one of these things that it's a really sort of, obviously we'll see the repercussions of this.
Right.
With the,
Especially because the son then walked in and saw Philip leaving. He was the
Right.
last one to leave that room.
right. So this is when it gets super murky, right? Goes back to like, kids and families and
Right.
weavings, and does the kid know? Does the kid not know? And
Do they have to kill the kid now because the kid saw? And they probably do, and that's like not
Exactly.
their policy, but it probably is.
and who has to clean up this mess?
Right.
And the kid saw, and it's all a mess. So they immediately went to safety mode. Where are our kids? Is everyone safe? And they got the hell out of there.
And we still don't know who killed that family.
No, we don't. But I'm sure we'll find out. Like, there's a long list, as
Right.
Philip said. So that's a big, a big way to kick off the season here. We have
Huge.
we have the Afghani thing happening.
Yeah, well, there's also then that whole story with Agent Gad, Stan, and
Sure, of
the
course.
Colonel,
Of course.
and that strange man who
course.
leaked information.
Right. So Stan is on the FBI side, which we'll jump to the FBI side
Yeah.
now. On the FBI side, the trail's gone cold, right? They were really hot. Like last season, they were right on the
Yeah.
verge of cracking this whole thing. They had the sketch of the couple.
I mean,
The
where
couple
I
were
was
there.
rooting for them too. I was like,
know.
"You're gonna get
They
them.
almost had them.
You're gonna get them."
And then they did not have
Right.
them. So now, of course, we cut to Stan. He's very much, very, very, very much like still like not able to give this thing up. Gad's telling him, "Look, man, it's over. The chick's dead. The dude's back in Russia. You know." The other guy, his guy who, you know, his informant, not credible, gambler, degenerate,
Right.
not credible at all. Though Stan believes him, and Stan's a little effed up about it. But sure enough, something very fishy happens when he goes to the colonel's house and ends up dead.
And shot twice in the head.
Right, execution.
So what does
style.
that mean, though? Like,
Well, that means that I think that means that. Well, I don't know what it means.
I don't
actually.
know either. I wish I knew. I'm like,
No idea.
this show is just that smart that I just.
Ray, do you know what it means?
I have no idea.
All right.
Maybe Joe Sanfilippo knows.
Joe Sanfilippo, he doesn't know anything. So we do. So, but what's interesting about that whole situation earlier, I love how Gad's like, yeah, like your informant said, that you know, she's dead and he's in Russia, right? He's like, yep, my informant's solid gold. She's right. I love this idea of Stan really having this, like, you know, if the FBI agent who doesn't miss anything, is still just totally, you know, being played by this woman, and
Right.
it's all about, you know, how stupid us guys are in the face of you women.
Which is good for us, really.
It is. I mean, so, and you know, he's like, and in that move where she's feeding them the fake information, and he's like, yeah, you know, do you think you can, you know, help me out with that?
Oh, that was
Trying to
so
be all
painful
sweet.
to watch
Yeah,
because
dude.
I was like, you're dumb, Stan. And look
She's
at
like,
you,
well,
Nina, celebrating
I'll see
outwardly.
what I can do. I'll see what I can do.
She's like, her face was so like, dun, dun,
Yeah.
dun.
She's still hot, by the way.
I know. I was going to say, you
get
didn't make any comments
She
about her.
didn't get any
tonight.
less hot, you know, and the show didn't get less awesome, and Nina didn't get less hot.
No.
So that's two good things to know. Check those both off my list. But what's interesting is, you know, one tip I did know, I found out as a man, never bring your Russian spy mistress, the French lieutenant's woman, to watch, because she didn't like that. And
I mean,
and Meryl Streep, I'm just a whore. Stan's like, right, Nina.
that was
She
an
didn't like that at
interesting
all.
choice.
No, yeah, I don't think. You
Also,
know.
I like that they commented on the fact that, like, the social commentary of like the fact that people were starting to
Oh yeah,
pirate movies.
Yes.
And so they had a whole
The FBI was
closet
cracking down.
of
Yes. That's
pirated
cool.
movies.
So that's happening. So then another thing that happened in this.
Oh my God, VHSs, by the way.
Yes.
Bring them back.
No.
I need clutter for my TV stand.
Yes, I need an entire room to take up for
Right.
like 6 movies. To take up, I need an entire like.
It's so weird
cabinet
that
to have
was-
like 10 movies.
right.
No. The other thing that happened is we see Nina reporting back to the KGB and
Our
the guy,
Katie.
and we see the new guy, Mr. You know, he's bumping the Walkman. He's got the what was this? No, Rod Stewart passion.
Yeah.
He's listening to his Rod Stewart. That guy's gonna be interesting.
Totally. And I like that there's a new character. I feel like we did need some new blood.
Yes.
It's also so weird to see, because we were watching with the captions,
Right.
that they would call everyone by their first and last name
Yes.
in the Russian culture,
that's-
which I didn't notice last time, but I don't know if it's because we didn't watch with the captions.
Right. If we didn't watch for that, or if it's just a formal, I don't know.
Because I do feel like when, you know, like there's stereotypes like being, you know, thrown around or whatever, Russians do say first and last names.
Right. They do. So I don't know. They do. So I don't.
Sorry, I found that kind of interesting.
No, I think
but-
it's interesting as well. And my Russian, I don't know anything about anything Russian.
And I am Russian and I have no
What?
idea. Yeah.
I don't know you're Russian.
I feel like we've talked about this
You
many
probably have
times.
JTJ. All right. So yeah. So that's interesting. And do you think? I mean, do you think that you know, there may be a little minor heat between Nina and the new guy? She's like,
You definitely thought so.
Well, I mean,
so.
maybe she's jealous. Like, I'm protective of Nina.
Right, you are.
But she was very much like, he's young. He's awful young.
Yeah.
It's just the way she said that. Maybe be like, hey. Well, anyway.
I don't know. I feel like Nina's looking for love in all the wrong places.
Oh, that is true. Oh, and one last thing, we did find out that Claudia is still around.
She is still around.
Yes.
There's the other couple,
Right. Said that Claudia.
Yeah.
Claudia says hi.
which was super odd. You know what? I think that was maybe what set it off for me, that there was going to be some ominous things going on with
Yeah.
that family, was because if Claudia said hi, that's a really odd occurrence considering that Elizabeth just beat her up. But didn't they end up talking at the end of that episode or something? No, the beating up happened. I don't know, but that was what felt like a weird signal of some kind.
Well, I mean,
like Claudius is high.
We do know, so last season, Claudius played by Margot Martindale, who is awesome and who is always awesome, was awesome and Justified, is awesome in everything she does. But unfortunately for the Americans, and unfortunately the show was not quite a hit, and they didn't have the budget to sort of sign the great Margot Martindale to a full contract, so they signed her to a guest star contract, which of course left her free to get poached by another show. So
she was a free agent.
In pilot season, she went to do the Millers, and Millers got picked up, and now she's on the Millers and CBS. However, the good news is she will be back for a few episodes. This is kind of news and gossip.
Love it.
Anyway. So we will see. We didn't see her this episode, but we do know she's around.
Yeah.
And it'll be very interesting to see how she reacts to this situation, or what she knows about this situation, or if she's responsible for the situation.
It's all very, very interesting, and I'm super excited about the season.
Me too. The Americans is back and in full effect. So I don't know, man. I mean, do you have any news? News?
I'm here. What's the news?
I don't have any news and gossip either, actually. So let's jump into predictions.
All right.
And now, your AfterBuzz TV predictions.
JTJ, what do you got?
I predict that the daughter, Paige, is going to snoop again and find something out.
Of course. I think that's definitely going to happen. I think that this season is clearly sort of setting the table for a, like I said, the whole thing with family. Mm-hmm. So I have a feeling that the kids will be in a lot of danger.
I agree.
And I think the season will be a lot about the couple, Elizabeth and Philip trying to protect the kids, and maybe their boss is saying the kids are just your cover. The kids are expendable.
I feel like last season was a lot of like exposition and like setting up what like spy life was like, and what their goals are and stuff. And this season's probably more about what it's like to actually be a spy.
Well, in the middle of the Cold War, and then we have some things historically that are about to heat up and happen.
Right.
We touched on Star Wars last year, and I think that we have a lot more things that are about to heat up, so we'll see where that goes. That's it. That's it for us. Episode number 1 of The Americans. We're very, very excited about the show. We'll be back next week with a full complement of hosts, and we will get deeper and deeper into this wonderful world of 80s espionage.
Love it.
Jen, where can we find you?
We can find me on Twitter and Instagram and Pinterest at Jen the Jew, Facebook Jenifer Golden, and my website jennifergolden.com.
Oh, and you can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Joe K. Braswell. Twitter and Instagram. That's all I got. That's it for Jen the Jew. I'm Joe Braswell. We will see you next week.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.
Thank you for watching AfterBuzz TV on YouTube. For more of your favorite after shows and interviews, subscribe to our channel here, and be sure to share your opinion on the episode in the comment section below here. We'd love to see what you guys are buzzing about. Thanks again. Buzz you later.